Hey Falcon fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Atlanta Falcons today. I have a different video, but a very important video. As the offseason has begun, I want to jump in and give you guys my 5-step offseason plan for the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, if I was the GM, consider me Thomas Fontenot, Terry Fontenot, whatever you want to call it, this is exactly what I would do to go ahead and not only fix the Falcons, but get the Falcons their best chance of being successful this offseason, and therefore turning it around and being a playoff team in 2022. Now, there are more steps than 5, but these are my top 5 steps that I would go through 1 through 5, starting at the beginning and going all the way through the draft. Here is exactly how I would do it. Number 1, we talked about it on the channel. Very simple, trade Calvin Ridley. Like, you have to. This is an easy step. Obviously, they're going to do this. They're going to get rid of Calvin Ridley as soon as the new league year starts. I would do it. That way, you can go ahead and get draft compensation for him, and then maybe, spend some money in free agency on a wide receiver, or focus on drafting a wide receiver to go ahead and replace him. I love Ridley. I wish that he would just come out and buy back into the Falcons, but I don't see it happening. And honestly, respect his decision. You got to do what you want to do. You got to go where you want to go. Ship him away, and then go ahead and bring in somebody else, whether it's free agency or the draft. But Ridley's time in Atlanta is done, and it's best to get this done as quickly as possible, because as soon as you get rid of Calvin Ridley, your draft picks are going to be pretty darn good, right? So in my opinion, you could get a 3rd-round draft pick, maybe a 2nd for Ridley. Let's say it's a 3rd. Your draft picks look like this: 8 overall, then you have 43 overall, then you have 63 overall, thank you, Julio Jones, then you have 74 overall, and then the additional 3rd-round draft pick somewhere, wherever it's, 75, 78, in the earlier 70s, wherever it is, right? The point is that you trade away Ridley, and that way you're getting an additional draft pick, and then you have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. 5 picks to go ahead and bring in young, cheap, starting talent onto this roster. Fontenot, you got to go ahead and draft some good players. So step 1, trade Calvin Ridley. Now, what's the first offseason move you guys would make? Like, do you have something different than trading Ridley? What would be the first thing you would do if you were Terry Fontenot in the Falcons front office? Let me know down below. Pin comments, so go below and answer that first question we have posted right below the video right now. Scroll down through the ad break. Give me your thoughts, your first offseason move for Atlanta. All right, move number 2. Now, again, trade right as the new league year starts, get into free agency. It's re-signing Cordarrelle Patterson. Now, I've talked about re-signing Cordarrelle Patterson in the past, and I've told you that you can't overpay for him, right? You can look at the stats on the screen and go, oh my goodness, this guy's fantastic. Whatever you want, we'll give it to you. No, you can't do that. You have to be smart with your money, because you don't have a lot of free agent money. You have $11 to $13 million, right, about roughly. So you got to give him something that is team-friendly. Now, thankfully, he keeps talking about how badly he wants to stay in Atlanta, so hopefully he gets a little hometown discount. His family lives close to the city, and so living closer to home was a big deal for him. And so I think you can re-sign him for the right price, do it, and make sure you don't overpay. But this is an important step, because if you get rid of Calvin Ridley, you still need the weapon that Patterson has become. And I think building him and Kyle Pitts as your 2 foundational skill players is a great start to the future of the Atlanta Falcons. And so re-signing Patterson, that is step number 2 here on my 5-step process. Again, both these first couple of ones, pretty simple and pretty obvious. I think most Falcon fans would agree with that. Number 3, we're still in free agency here. Sign some offensive line depth. Now, I don't need to go out in free agency and spend, $13 million a year on the number 1 left tackle in free agency or the number 1 guard or center. No, you don't need to go out and get starters. It'd be nice to get starters, but what I want is depth. I want people who have started in the past, who have been kind of fringe starters in the National Football League, who can come in and provide some, let's just call it what it is, competition to the lackluster talent at O-line right now. You need some competition for Mayfield at left guard, some competition for Hennessy at center, and some competition for McGarry at right tackle. You could sign 2 offensive linemen who've played either tackle or guard to come in and not only provide depth in case of injury, but also give you some overall competition to push these guys. Maybe they win the battle, maybe they don't, but the goal would be to get McGarry to be better than he was in 2020. The goal would be to push Jalen Mayfield to be, a bona fide starter at left guard in 2022. That's the goal and the idea of adding in some offensive line depth, and I think that they should do it in free agency. You can do it in the draft, but doing the draft, I don't know if I want to spend that early of draft picks, as we'll see on O-linemen. I want to spend it on some other key positions, maybe get O-linemen later on in the draft for depth, but free agency to me is a good spot to get established people who have played before. That way you're not using a 5th-round rookie trying to get him to start at right tackle. It's just not going to work, and very rarely does in the National Football League. What do you guys think? Should the Falcons sign or draft some offensive linemen? Type a D down below for draft, or type S down below for sign. I'm not against drafting offensive linemen. Don't get me wrong. If they get one in the 1st or 2nd round, I'm not going to hate it because they need it. But I think you can work with what you have, add some depth and competition, and do it through free agency. I'm going to type S down below. Give me your thoughts in the comments section. Now, before we even get into step number 4, which is one you guys are all going to agree with, you love step number 4, shout out to our friends and sponsor for today's video, BetUS, the best place to bet on the wildcard games coming up here for the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. Chatsports.com/BetFalcons. You see the link below me somewhere right down there. And our promo code Falcons125 gives you a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. So essentially, you go ahead and go to our link, you put your $100 deposit down when you create your account, use our promo code at checkout, Falcons125, and it turns your $100 deposit into $225 for you to bet on the Falcons. Or, you can, of course, the Falcons games are over, bet on the Hawks. You can bet on the Braves when they come up. Or, as I'm going to do, bet on Wild Card Week, and I'll have my picks of the week later on this week. But there are some winnable bets here, I think, happening. Doing with my friends at BetUS. Go ahead and definitely check them out. Now, step 4 in my 5-step process to rebuild the Atlanta Falcons this offseason, the perfect offseason, if you will, is one that is very clear to me, has to be the first thing you do when it comes to draft time, right? So we've gone through free agency, we've gone through the trade period, and you have an 8th overall draft pick. What do? You draft a defensive lineman. Now, I don't care who it is. Honestly, like, there are some really good defensive linemen, as we'll see in just one second, and there are some I like more than others. Get the best D lineman on the board at number 8. Now, maybe you trade up, but I would like to save those picks in round 2 and 3 for, round 2 or 3 draft picks, and so sit there at number 8. Do your research, do your due diligence, and take the best player available. Now, the best pass rusher in this draft is Aiden Hutchinson. The problem is Aiden Hutchinson is not going to be available at number 8, so you let him go. Not a factor there. He goes 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. That's fine. Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon, same thing. Not going to be there. That's fine. Let him go. It's the 3 after him on my list that you see right here that you just pick the best one available, and then you roll with it, right? George Karlaftis, I think is how you say his last name, out of Purdue. Absolutely fantastic. My personal favorite, though, is David Ajobo, however you want to say his last name. He is a great pass rusher out of Michigan, overshadowed by Aiden Hutchinson, but still an elite defensive end who can come off the edge and provide an instant upgrade with the Falcons' poorest defensive end depth chart. Like, you've got to improve the defensive line, and even though we talk about in the past how, maybe you go O-line here because the O-line needs help, no, it needs to be pass rusher. It needs to be somebody who can start right away and get you 6 to 8 sacks his rookie year, and then eventually become a double-digit sack guy for the Atlanta Falcons. That's what you need. Like, you've got to have a double-digit sack guy coming forward in the future down the pipeline, because as you currently look at the D-line depth chart, who's there? Like, poor Grady Jarrett gets double-teamed every single snap because there's nobody else. Imagine Grady not having to be double-teamed because you're focused in on, a young rookie or second-year pass rusher that they drafted in this upcoming draft at number 8 overall. I mean, it's just like, it's a no-brainer. Fix the D-line. This is number 4 on my list, and you've got to go ahead and make this happen. I think, again, most guys will go ahead and agree with me. It's the biggest offseason need. Like, this is truly the biggest offseason need for the Falcons. What do you think? Like, do you agree? Like, is this the biggest offseason need? What do you think the biggest offseason need for the Atlanta Falcons is? Let me know down below. It could be O-line, but it's not corner, it's not wide receiver, it's not running back. Like, those are needs. Like, a quarterback, like, those are 100% needs. But at the same time, this is your biggest need. It is pass rusher. So let me know what you guys think down below right now in the comments section. For me, defensive end, defensive end, defensive end. That is where I would go right now. Now, number 5. Which is going to be interesting. It'll be controversial. I have that coming up here in just one second. First, make sure you guys are subscribed to Atlanta Falcons Today, because the offseason is here, and plenty of offseason videos, whether it's news, rumors, trades, signings, trade ideas, mock drafts, it's all here on the channel. So go down below and hit that red subscribe button, as we're going to give you guys the best one-stop shop for all of your offseason news and rumors regarding your Falcons. Turn the notification bell on as well, the way you're notified whenever we drop our latest videos. All right, number 5, controversial. We have to do it, though. In my step process, we've traded Ridley, we've re-signed Patterson, we've signed some O-line depth, we've drafted a defensive end in round 1, and now we've drafted the future quarterback in round 2 or 3. Yes, they need to draft the future quarterback in round 2 or 3. Not because Matt Ryan stinks, not because Matt Ryan's going anywhere. Matt Ryan, just fine. He should be the quarterback of the future, the quarterback of the next 2 years, next year for sure, 2 years depending on what happens. But he is going to eventually retire, or he is going to eventually be traded, or he's going to eventually fall off a cliff, because all quarterbacks do. You can look back at Big Ben's final year, you can look back at Peyton Manning's final year, Drew Brees' final year. It happens to everybody, right? Matt Ryan's at that age where a couple more years from now it is going to happen. So you need to get his future. You don't need to get it in the first round, maybe not even in the second round, but in late round 2, early round 3, you need to get one of these 4 quarterbacks to go ahead and sit behind Matt Ryan, learn behind Matt Ryan, do the Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes scenario where they learn and then eventually become the starter. And there are some good quarterbacks in round 2 or 3 that will be available. Ridder possibly in round 2. I love Malik Willis out of Liberty. He makes a ton of sense. He has the arm strength, the mobility, the talent. He's just a little bit raw, and that's what you want. You want a raw quarterback who doesn't push Matt Ryan to start because he doesn't need to, but learns from Matt Ryan, is a sponge, absorbs behind him, and one of these 4 on your screen to me makes a ton of sense. This to me is something Atlanta needs to do. They didn't do it last year, and thankfully, probably rightfully so, because Kellen Mond apparently stinks, and they didn't, even look at that way. And Kyle Trask, forgot about him because he, of course, was Brady's backup. But this is the option. This is the way they need to do this here in round 5. Drop a like if you, or in step 5 in round 2 or 3. Drop a like if you guys agree that Falcons need to draft a quarterback in 2022. Like, they need to. Drop a like down below if you guys agree with this. I think 100% Atlanta needs to draft a quarterback in 2022. All right, so here is, of course, my top 5. We'll give you a bonus one in a second. Let's just go through it one more time. Trading Ridley, re-signing Cordarrelle Patterson, signing some offensive line depth in free agency, drafting a defensive end in round 1, very important, and then, of course, drafting the future at quarterback a couple years from now in this upcoming draft in round 2 or 3. Those are the 5. Bonus. This is a bonus. Number 6. Let's throw in a little bonus here. You must draft a running back at some point. Don't just spend it on an early draft pick, again, because you have a lot more needs than running back, but you've got to get the future at running back who can actually be a legit running back. Like, they've really gone to free agency the past couple of years and failed. Gurley, never had any yards or health, and then, of course, Mike Davis was terrible this past year. Draft one of these 5 running backs. I don't care who it is. Like, close your eyes and throw a dart at a dartboard and take Walker, Hall, Spiller, Williams out of Notre Dame. There are a ton of great running backs in this draft. You can get running backs cheap in the draft in rounds 2, 3, or 4. Get one. Don't pass on a Javonte Williams as they did this past year because they are regretting it, and trust me, they'd be a lot better with a legit back there in the number 1 running back spot. All right, what do you guys think? If you guys like this video, if you do, give this video a thumbs up. Plenty more like it coming up next couple of days and weeks. Go down below and hit that red subscribe button as we have plenty of content for you guys coming up the next couple of days and weeks. For Atlanta Falcons Today, though, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.